What's up, XO? I am Doc Russo Jr. I am the admin for the Weekend XO discussion group. And this is my after hours breakdown part 2. And this is the part 2. I called it the return. So the portion of the album or the lump of songs that I consider the return, so to speak, for this album. So as I noted in the previous video, part 1, which was the attempt, I'm doing follow-up segments, part 2 and part 3, because I broke it down because that's how I feel the album is lumped into 3 different sections. If you haven't already, check out the first video before watching this one so you can get kind of caught up. So, I'll start this. This is part 2. Wait. A disclosure. Or not a disclosure, a disclaimer, I guess. This is my own interpretation and my own opinion, so if you don't like my interpretation or don't agree with it, make your own video or your own review. I wouldn't mind watching it or listening to it because I don't mind seeing other members' opinions. It helps us grow the group, and the group is called the Weekend XO Discussion for a reason, so we can discuss this type of stuff and discuss his music and breakdowns and our opinions of the music. So that's a breakdown. That's a disclaimer. Now let's start the breakdown. So this is part 2, the return. Now the reason why I call this portion of the album the return is because this is where he kind of falls back into his old ways, or falls back to his old habits. He returns to the Weekend that we know and that we love. That's why I call this the return. Now, to start off this portion, it starts with Escape from LA and Snow Child. Now, both of these songs, he's reflecting on material things that he has, his material possessions. He's reflecting on women, but pretty much they're all the same to him now. They're all the same to him now. Now, first I'm gonna start a little bit with Escape from LA and then go into Snow Child. So why do I say that he's reflecting on material women, or material things and women? All that stuff is because pretty much he is. I'll elaborate more. So in Escape from LA, he's talking about several things. The first verse or so, he's kind of talking about this lover, in which I presume is the lover from the first part 1, the attempt that keeps taking him back, and that in the final song that I had on part 1, which was Scared to Live, he's essentially giving an apology. He's telling her, don't be scared to live again. You can do it, encouraging her. And what I presume is maybe she did go and live in her brief bout or separation when he kind of screwed up again. But anywho, he's back with this woman, and when he starts off with the line, "You pillow talk to me about the men who try to get between us. They buy you bags and jewelry, yeah. They think your kindness is so weak. No, you don't give it up so easy, baby." Oh shoot. But so he starts off with that line, and that's a very important line, in my opinion. And the reason why is because he's saying that, all right, this woman or this lover that he's with, the one that was scared to live in part 1, now she might have lived a little bit. She's exploring her options. She's out there exploring. He's back with her. maybe even just for a sexual roundabout or something, or briefly. And now she's starting to pillow talk to him. You know, she's giving subtle signs that, hey, there's other guys. They're trying to talk to me. They're hitting me up. They're DMing me. That's what he. That's what she's doing. And the weekend, he's like, Abel. He's like, he doesn't really believe her because at this moment he doesn't. At this moment he doesn't think or he doesn't believe that she's actually gonna screw around on him. He doesn't believe. He doesn't think that she'd actually leave him. Matter of fact, he knows she's not. So he brushes this off. He's like, oh, this is just her attempt to get attention. She's only looking for attention. And that's kind of how he's looking at it. So he's just brushing off like, get out of here. Yeah, and they buy you bags and jewelry. So, what else? And the reason why he brushes it off is because, for one, he has her. Mentally, he has her. And another thing is, because he knows that she's hard to get. She's not an easy sleep. She's not an easy screw job. You can't just get her like that. He knows that. So he's like, oh, even if they are attempting to come at you, you don't give it up easy. You're not going to screw with them. So he feels relatively safe. So he's just like, oh, she's just trying to get my attention. She's going to talk about it when we're in bed. She's going to talk about it. She can say what you want, but hey, you ain't going to do anything. Now, and he also saying, he said, you just wanted my affection, or you just want my affection. It further emphasizes that point. She wants his attention. She wants him to be more affectionate with him. She wants him to care more because that vulnerable Abel that we got and scared to live, he's gone now. He's going back to his old ways, the Heartless. He's going back to his old ways, the way that he always is. And she wants that back, so she thinks that telling him this stuff is going to get him. But we'll figure out if it does. Now, also in Escape from LA, that last portion of it, the studio. We had sex in the studio. I'm gonna go back a little bit. So the song is called Escape from LA, obviously. So what I'm thinking is, in the return, though he's back to his old ways, he's back to how he is. This woman's trying to get his attention. He's noticing that, his lover. You know, she's trying to do this, that, and the third to get his attention. She wants affection. He's kind of brushing her off. Because he's like, So, however, he does recognize that he wants to leave LA. Or he wants to leave. Obviously, we know through his music, LA has always been his mission. Cali has always been his mission. It's kind of been, I think the lights, the glitz and glamour and stuff of it is like a sign that you made it. And for him, that's kind of like, it's his thing. That's kind of like his goal, his mission, what the heck do you call that? It's like it's his fairy tale land, his utopia. That's the word. That's his utopia. Now that he's been in his utopia for a decent amount of time, he's kind of gotten bored with it. To the point that you get into the second portion of the song where he's talking about this encounter with a woman. And this woman that he encountered in the studio, that's not his original lover. That's not the lover that he's talking about in the beginning of the song. This is a different woman. This is a woman that, like, he's just like, I don't know who the heck that is. Or, not, I don't know. This is just a one, like, at this point in the song, he's literally just describing something that he noticed in him. Like, all these women are the same to him. They all feel the same. All these women are the same to him. What he's saying in LA, even though he's saying LA, he's saying like in his utopia or what used to be his utopia. All these women are the same to him now. There's no real change. There's no differentiation. They're all the same. They all look the same. They're all screwing the same. They're all doing this the same. But this particular woman, he recognizes and he remembers her specifically from specifically because of like a certain necklace or a certain chain that she's wearing. Heck, maybe she even gave a blowjob. Kind of that characteristic, but he's not. He's just, you know. And kind of go to back to the second verse, I think it is. Kind of emphasizes the point where somebody got everything he wanted, all that stuff. So in that verse, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this song, but that verse, the second verse, you got to keep in mind I'm kind of going off the top with this, so kind of all over the place with this song, with these songs. But in that second verse, he's talking about he got everything he wanted and stuff like that, and he's emphasizing the point that I keep hammering into your head. He's emphasizing that like I'm in my utopia. I've had my utopia. I have everything. But again, when he's saying to his lover that wants all that attention and stuff, he does realize that though he has all these material things and all these material women, none of them can provide him with what he actually needs and what he actually wants, which is love, which is to be a family man, or in essence, family type things. He wants to start a life. Deep down, nothing or no one can provide him with that in this utopia, because his utopia does not breed that type of life, that type of lifestyle. In fact, the opposite. So he escapes LA in search of his own utopia. Well, a new utopia. And where does he go when he escapes? Now, on one hand, he escapes LA because he wants to he's still trying, and he still wants to make it right with this lover on one hand. On the other hand, this utopia, this high that he was on, this high that he's riding, is starting to fade, and he wants to go back. He wants to go back to that place. He wants to go back to his happy place. He wants to go back to that facade that he starts the album off with. Vegas. Alone again. And this leads into this next song that I put on this list, which is Faith. Now, in Faith, he arrives in Vegas. That's where he decides to go. And he parties hard. He parties very hard. So much so that he's afraid that he might even OD. Not even afraid, he's embracing OD. Now, some notable lyrics that really captures a lot of us. We already know the OD line. But this line right here is, I've been sober for a year. Now it's time for me to go back to my ways. Don't you cry for me. Thought I'd be a better man, but I lied to me and to you. That reminds me of Coming Down. Know that song, Coming Down? I ain't lied to nobody but me. and you and me, but you especially. That reminds me of that line. Essentially, is that line. But what he's saying right there is he actually did put effort. Back in the part one when I threw nothing compares in there, or put nothing compares, and he's talking about I won't get high and all that stuff. I won't get high anymore and stuff like that. And stuff like that. He actually tries. He actually tries. That's why it's called the attempt. Oh, that's why part one's the attempt. He actually attempted. Sure, he's been sober for a year. He actually tried. Surprisingly. And now it's time for him to go back to those ways because he's like, hey, I am suffering. I am suffering. I'm in a disguise. The disguise that he wants to take off. I'm in that disguise. I'm suffering. I need to go back to my old ways. And he's telling this woman, don't cry for me. Don't even pray for me. Don't cry for me. Don't pray for me. Leave me be. And I'm sorry. I thought I can do it, but I lied to you and to me. But you especially. But kind of in the middle or towards the endish of the song, he has that line where he's saying, when I'm coming down. When I'm coming down, it's the most I feel alone. To further emphasize too that even though he's in this utopia, even though he's in Vegas, this is his new happy place, his new utopia, he still feels alone, especially when he's coming down. He only wants it when he's coming down. And he comes down a lot. That's why he wants to get high a lot. That's why he's like, and if I OD, shit, OD right beside me. That's what he's saying. He wants to OD. Not that he really literally wants to OD, but he wants to stay high. And that can entail ODing if that much stuff is in your system, that much substance. But that's the only time. But when he's not high, when he's coming back down, when he's hitting rock bottom, he's alone. And he doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't know if he can be alone again. Now, towards the end, he says, time hasn't been kind to me. I pray when I look inside the mirror and see someone I love. Oh, someone I love. Now, my interpretation of this, when he says, time hasn't been kind to me, I pray. When I look into the mirror, I see someone I love. And he loves himself. He really does love himself. And when he's saying time hasn't been kind to him, I think he's saying that time hasn't been kind to him in terms of this lifestyle, in terms of that type of lifestyle. Because over time you grow. He's grown as a musician. Over time you grow as a person. And things that you love or things that you really want, you can't do anymore. You know? Certain things you can't do anymore when you get older. Just like if you're 50 years old, it looks pretty bad if you're on a playground, playing around, or in the jungle gym. It sucks that you can't be in a bouncy house at the age of like 26. But you get older, and you change, and mentally, you change too. And this is the stuff that he really wants to do. He really loves. Now I walk past the park, I ride past the park, I see a swing, it's something I really want to do, but I don't. Because time hasn't been kind. I don't know how that relates, but anyways. But he realizes that he loves himself and he doesn't want to be alone, and all these drugs and this lifestyle destroys your body. It takes a toll on you. And he just wants love, and he wants to settle down, but he don't know if he can do that. And in that last part, he says he ended up in a flashing car. So that means so it's kind of difficult. I shouldn't say difficult. It can mean two things. One thing, he's gotten arrested. He partied so hard he got arrested. On the other hand, it means that he ended up ODing. In my opinion, I think he might have OD'd or at least had an OD scare. Others believe he got arrested, but I think he had an OD scare. Then again, when you look at the album art, busted up face and all that stuff, he could have gotten a big, he could have gotten rowdy and screwed up, and I don't know. But my interpretation is he had an OD scare. Now this leads into Heartless and Blinding Lights. Now both of these songs, we all know these songs. These are some of the most popular songs on the album. Then both these songs, Heartless and Blinding Lights, I'm kind of just sum them up. As in, both of those songs, he's embracing the nightlife of Vegas, Sin City. He's embracing all that. He's heartless. He's enjoying this. He's heartless. You got women in a dog pound or whatever the hell he said. He has all this stuff. He's embraced it. He's embracing it hard. He's partying hard. He loves this stuff. He's doing it every night. The reason I lump both of these songs together, is because in both of the songs, he harkens back to this lover. Even though he's heartless, even though he's blinded by the lights, at the end of both of the songs, he's harkening back to this particular lover. He wants to call her. He wants to talk to her. He wants to say to her. He doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't know if he can be alone again. Common theme. Now I'm going to move on to In Your Eyes. This kind of where he takes that turn. This is kind of that turning point. This is kind of when he starts to take that turn into the part 3. But we're not at part 3 yet, but this is kind of where he starts to take that turn. Now we get to In Your Eyes. Now In Your Eyes, he reunites with his lover again. But something is different. Something is very different about her. He knows it, but he'd rather be oblivious. And he doesn't want to be alone, so he'll pretend like he doesn't know. He'll be oblivious. But he can see that something's burning inside her. Just something. Something she's not telling him. A confession of sorts that she won't tell him. He sees it. She's behaving a little more indifferently to him. Now he's starting to suspect. He's suspecting that she's seen somebody, or that she's being with somebody else, or that she's found somebody else. Maybe he confronts her, or subtly confronts her, and she lies to him and says, "Oh no, it's only you." But he knows she's lying. He knows everything. This really bothers him. But he ignores it because he wants to be with her. So he kind of puts that stuff to the side. And really, this song In Your Eyes, in my opinion, which I love, but in my opinion, this song In Your Eyes is essentially The Knowing. In terms of content-wise and lyrics-wise, I shouldn't say lyric-wise, but in terms of what it means, it's essentially The Knowing. It's The Knowing. It's a more commercialized version of The Knowing. The only difference is he has a different reaction to the news that she's seeing somebody else. In The Knowing, he's like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt like you thought it would. It's screwing around. Oh well, it doesn't hurt." But in this one, he's kind of like, he's a little salty because remember, he controlled this woman mentally. This was his callback. This was his fallback. Whenever he's alone, he knows he can go back to her. She was scared to live, but now she's living. And now she's found someone else. And he doesn't want to be alone. And this leads into... Well, before I say that, I hypothesize, or I believe, in my opinion, that in this song, even though in the song he's done a lot of screwed up things, she's done a lot of screwed up things, and pretty much they come to the conclusion that pretty much she's going to give him one more chance. This is her last chance with him. Even though she saw somebody else or she's seeing somebody else that he's suspecting. Maybe they're saying somebody from all the way back and escaped from LA. Stuff like that. He's like, she's going to give him one more chance because she still loves him. He still holds a place in her heart. All she asks is that he does not leave. She'll give him that one more chance. Now, what happens? This leads into Save Your Tears. Now, in Save Your Tears, Abel sees his lover at an outing. He sees her out and about. And she looks happier without him. Now, this gets him. This catches him off guard because normally she's hiding away. Normally she's wallowing in tears. She's hurt. She's in hiding. She's coming back to him. She wants him to come back. This time she's happy without him. It's something you never want your ex to be happy without you. This is a very big change up from Angel. From Beauty Behind the Madness, Angel, where he's like, I hope you find somebody to love. Somebody to love. But this is a big change up because now she actually found somebody to love her. It appears that she's having a happier time or something that she loves more than him or the substitute for him. And he's like, oh shoot, he's kind of salty. And when he's looking at him, he said a single tear, when she looked at him, a single tear came falling down her eyes. What he's saying with that is he's saying she's still hurt. She's still hurt for the pain that he caused her. But the thing is, it's a single tear. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean by it being a single tear? Meaning, though it hurt, she's already used up a lot of her tears already, crying for him and stuff. But now she expects him to leave. He does it a lot. He does it a lot. She expects him to leave and expects him to do this stupid stuff and screw up. So now it's to the point where she's not even crying anymore. She's not going to cry anymore. Or the hurt is minimized because she's felt this so many times, she's almost immune to it. She's almost accustomed to it. So it's kind of, you know. But as he, well, like I said, at Save Your Tears, I felt like he kind of made a pact or something. He's saying like, all right, I won't leave this time. And she's giving him that one more chance, that one more opportunity to be with her. He eventually leaves. And he kind of broke that promise. And he repeatedly broke him over the years. So now she's finally done with him. She won't take him back. He's trying to go back to her, but she's like, no. She won't give him the time of day. Not anymore. She's grown up. She's through with him. I don't want you anymore. That's what she's saying. She's done with him. And this kind of hurts him because now he doesn't have that person he wants to be with. He doesn't have that fallback option. He doesn't have, now he actually is alone. That's Save Your Tears for you. And that pretty much concludes this third portion, or the second portion of the album, which I call The Return. And to sum up The Return, overall, his lover starts to find herself after finally living again. Remember, he said, don't be scared to live again. So she went out and she lived. And she starts to find herself and she finally starts living again. But she still has love for Abel. When he goes back to her, she still accepts him. Hesitantly, but she still accepts him. And she gives him another chance, multiple chances, once more, and he blows it again. And Abel, even though he's blowing his chances and even though he's doing what he used to love, he doesn't love it as much. He's still hurt. He still feels alone after getting these highs. So, especially when he's coming down. So he feels that if he goes to Vegas, that place he starts with in Alone Again, that place where his new utopia, where that's his happy place. He feels that he can maybe recapture or maybe continue to live this high. So he goes to Vegas. He parties hard. He parties probably the hardest that he's ever. But it's just not fun anymore. It's just not funny anymore because he keeps going down. Keeps bringing him down. Because when he comes down, when he hits rock bottom, he doesn't want to be alone when he hits rock bottom. So he keeps doing these drugs. He keeps partying hard. He keeps trying to ignore. He just keeps trying to suppress these feelings. But he can't. Or suppress these emotions, but he can't. So he tries to remain high to pretty much suppress it. And that's just unobtainable. It's not sustainable. That's a better word. It just provides temporary sensation. And he goes back to her. He goes back to his lover. She has one foot out the door already. She's giving him this one more chance. The last time she gives him that one more chance. And now she's finally done with him because he screws up again, inevitably. She's finally done with him. She's not taking him back. So this concludes part 2 of my after hours breakdown. And part 3 is going to be coming pretty soon. In fact, it's coming right after this. The only reason why I broke these down into separate segments is because I didn't want if I put them all together, it's over an hour long, so I wanted to kind of break it down. So yeah, that concludes part 2. Part 3 coming. It is called The Revelation. Once again, I am Doc Russo Jr., the admin for the Weekend Excel discussion group. And stay tuned. Thank you.